Hello and welcome to episode number 106 of Super Califanilistic. My name is Christian Rauchenwald and today we're going to talk about how, why and when you should take imperfect action. Before we get to that, as always, a quick welcome to those who tune in for the first time to one of my episodes. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button in the bottom right corner of this video, somewhere there. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this, then make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out any future episode. That said, let's talk about taking imperfect action and how being a perfectionist actually results in like less growth. It kind of holds you back. What do I mean by that? It's kind of like whenever I have a project for a website or something, and in the beginning when you start, nothing is done, so it seems like a lot of work. And once you have built like the header and the footer, which are pretty much the same on every page, it's a quite fast process. And then you have 80% of the website done in actually almost no time at all. But then you hit that point where basically the polishing comes in. Okay, there may be a bug in Google Chrome, there may be an issue there in Internet Explorer and stuff like that. And that's where you probably spend again the same amount of time that you needed to build the actual website in the first place. And the Pareto principle applies here, the 80-20, you know, like you get 80% of your results with 20% of your effort, for example. And that's why when you're a perfectionist and you really spend the 80% of time for those 20% of additional perfection or results, it's gonna hold you back. Yeah, that of course doesn't apply to everything. For example, if we look at this Super Califanilistic series, while on YouTube, thanks to the way how YouTube works, I cannot complain about the viewer numbers and how they are increasing over time and all that stuff, and interaction and engagement with users. Compared to that, the podcast version of this Super Califanilistic series doesn't perform that well. Why is that? Simply because it's two different channels, and taking massive action in terms of like publishing each episode additionally as podcast, while it doesn't cause me a lot of effort, it has almost zero upsides for me. Yeah. Why? Simply because a podcast audience expects something different. What is an additional effect of it? It actually comes with a downside, because in all my daily episodes on YouTube, I'm limited to things I can talk about, because if I were to show you something on my screen, people that listen to the podcast version of this would not benefit from that. That's, for example, why I personally am going to separate those two formats. Like the Super Califanilistic vlog on YouTube will be separated from the podcast version in the near future, and the podcast version will then not be daily, simply because otherwise it would take too much time. But again, the quality will increase. So that's one of the cases where imperfect action doesn't help and is not the solution. But there are so many cases out there. Again, like if you build your first funnel, your first product or something, yes, you could worry weeks over like what's the perfect copy and stuff like that, or you can just launch the funnel and see if it works and then tweak it based on customer feedback, tweak it based on heat maps that show you where users interact and what they don't interact with, and so on and so forth. So taking imperfect action is like required, or is the right solution in most cases. However, it should be used like with with caution. You know, like you should still in certain cases be the perfectionist that you probably are, or that you maybe are, and really make sure everything fits. For another example would be when you're looking for a domain name for your project. Now, I also made that mistake and took imperfect action, meaning like I couldn't get the domain that I really wanted, so I just settled for something that's similar. And in the end, then the domain name just doesn't really fit very well to whatever I'm promoting on that page. Yeah. Whereas like I changed that approach to then simply spending a little bit more time and being the perfectionist, to really thinking about, okay, who am I what's my target audience, what's my product, what's my offer, and spending a little bit more time to come up with fitting domain names. And well, again, it takes a little more time, but suddenly the domain names are more clear. People can already understand based on the domain name what to expect from it, and it just aligns better. Yeah. And that's really a crucial thing to know. Like, while imperfect action will get you results faster because you release your products faster, you release your daily YouTube episodes faster. For example, you see me taking imperfect action every day in my episodes because you see me pressing the play button, you see me pressing the button when I stop the recording. However, so you can kind of like you can, or you already know that I do not spend the time cutting the videos. Yeah. Why do I not do that? Because I'm publishing daily, and if I were now to spend an additional 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes cutting each of the videos, even if it were just the beginning and the end and maybe throwing an intro in there, it would just take additional effort, but it would not increase the quality of the content. Like an intro in the beginning would make the videos look a little bit more professional, but it would not increase the quality of the content. So that those are like 20% of work that I'm simply saving myself. When I record an episode like this, which is now roughly 6 minutes long, all I do afterwards is I encode it so that it fits for YouTube. And again, I rip the audio for the podcast, I upload it to YouTube, and if it's not too long, also to Pinterest. And after that, while the upload is in progress, I create a quick thumbnail image on Canva, and I start writing the description using TubeBuddy and other tools to help me with the right keywords and so on. And basically, I get one episode done in less than 30 minutes. If I start to edit those videos on top of that, well, then we probably look at an hour for each video, and that's an additional 30 minutes every day that do not increase the quality of the content. It also will most likely in a lot of cases not necessarily increase the audience retention. There would be some things that I would like to do, and I'm looking into it, how to like do that automatically. Like for example, maybe get a second webcam and switch angles every 7 or 10 seconds. Yeah, it's a practice like used in videos, so people keep watching. Or like zooming in, zooming out every whatever 15, 20 seconds or something. But if I would have to do that manually, yes, I can do that. And even for a short video like this, it wouldn't take that long, but it adds up time without adding quality. So that said, this is simply why you should take imperfect action, and also a few examples when you shouldn't. If it's something like, again, if it's things that you can change later on easily, like for example, the copy of your page, a graphic here and there, maybe we record your sales video because it doesn't perform, well then just take imperfect action, go live as fast as possible and get feedback from actual customers and see maybe your imperfect video works, maybe your imperfect copy works, or you see it doesn't work, and then you can think about like maybe it's the copy and rephrase it then or rework it then. And then there are things that are just like you're more or less stuck with, like domain names. Changing them later on is always a hassle. You would probably also need to rename your Facebook page, and then also like set up different sending email addresses and this and that. So there are some things where you should think about carefully what you want, how you want it, and be the perfectionist. And then there are other things that are not that permanent, where you can always and should always take imperfect action. That's pretty much the way how I differentiate between it. So that's it for today. Let me know in the comments below, are you also like sometimes prone to be the perfectionist instead of when you actually should take imperfect action? Or are you somebody who constantly just takes imperfect action? Doesn't matter if it's like 100% done, just get it out. Just get out with it, you know. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow with another episode of Super Califanilistic. Till then, bye-bye.